So this video is going to be taking a break from the current ongoing World Championships to cover super shoes, or attempting to cover the four best super shoes in my opinion, and also probably the super shoes that see the most limelight. I'm just going to try and rank them for the distances of 5k, 10k, half marathon and marathon, and also talk about the strengths and weaknesses of each four, and then maybe try and give a recommendation for who I think they would be better for. So if you have tried these shoes, as I always say in reviews now, comment down below your opinion on the shoe, so then people who are watching this can check the comments to also get a better understanding and maybe what shoe is best for them. First of all, before we go into 5k, 10k, half marathon and marathon, I'm just going to talk about each shoe individually for a brief introduction. So first of all, it's the Alphafly 2, which is the second version of the Alphafly from Nike, which didn't really see as much love on the roads as the Vaporfly did, but for me it is probably, I think it's objectively the most efficient shoe in terms of energy return and efficiency and how much effort you're actually putting into the running. But it ultimately depends on your form and how you feel with having a bit of a heavier shoe on your foot, and also how you cope with the bubble, as well as some stability issues. And in the first version, there was an issue with the arch. People got quite a aching pain in their arch as the miles went on. This shoe doesn't have that, so it is a welcomed upgrade. A super lightweight upper, and the Zoom X foam from Nike is probably still the best foam on the market. Next is quite a new shoe as well. I guess they're all three of them are really new. Is the Asics METASPEED Sky Plus. I know that there is the Asics METASPEED Sky Plus and the METASPEED Edge Plus. I've not tried the Edge Plus, and Asics don't seem to be wanting to sell it or market it as much as the Sky Plus. So the Sky is obviously the one that most people will be wearing. I want to try the Edge Plus because it would suit my form a bit better, but for now the Sky Plus is the Asics shoe. The FF Turbo Foam from Asics has seen a lot of people really enjoy it and run fast on the roads and on the track. And the Sky Plus has been one of the dark horses really, because Nike and Adidas seem to share the limelight in terms of having the most world-class athletes. But then these shoes have won quite a lot of races. The upper could be better, especially in the heel. The front's fine, and the foam and the bottom of the shoe is quite an aggressive shoe and a bit firmer than I would prefer. Although it is quite similar to the next shoe, which is the Nike Vaporfly Next Percent. I just feel like the Vaporfly has a bit more of a push and a bit more of a natural feeling. And as you know, the Vaporfly Next Percent is probably the most popular super shoe on the planet to date. And that's for good reason. One, because Nike are amazing at marketing, but also because everyone loves it and then stays with it. Probably my fifth or sixth version of this shoe now. And you can it's really reliable. You know exactly what you're going to get. Not as firm as the Asics, but it's probably the second firmest on this list. And this will probably be at most people's top of the super shoe list, even to this date, with the new introductions as well. And this is kind of the competitor that everyone always compares to. And the final shoe is the Adidas Adizero Adios Pro 3, which is obviously the third edition of the Adidas Pro lineup. I didn't try the first two, but this is a lot softer than the first and second from a lot of reviewers. And for me, a lot of people say it's over-engineered, and I can understand why with the cutouts. I was a bit disappointed with the upper. I feel like there's still a lot of performance to be gained from the upper in terms of rubbing. I got some rubbing on the heel, and I just feel like there's some weight savings. But all in all, a phenomenal shoe, and I really love the outsole as well, the Continental rubber. Very aggressive whilst also being very cushioned. First of all, 5k. I would take this shoe out straight away for the 5 just because it's not as fast as the other 3. And next, so this is 4th for the 5k. I would say third place is the Asics METASPEED Sky. I just haven't got on with it as well as I thought I would. It's a bit firm for me, and it just doesn't feel quite as snappy as I'd have liked it to. And maybe that's because I'm not used to the Asics foam, because the spike's the same for me. They feel a bit firm, and I don't really enjoy the ride as much as I thought I would. But it's hard to deny that so many people enjoy wearing the Asics shoes. But for me, this is third in the 5. Now, the next two is a toss-up, because I actually did 2 races on the same course in these shoes. My most recent one was yesterday in this shoe, and one was in March, was wearing this shoe. I would say I was fitter in March when I was wearing this shoe, and it was a bit better conditions because it was a bit cooler, whereas yesterday was hotter. But I ran 3 seconds faster in this shoe than I did in this shoe, but I won both of those. And this shoe yesterday, I felt a lot more comfortable in the race than I did when I was wearing this shoe. So just for that, even though I do think this is slightly slower in terms of sprint speed, I'm going to give the 5K, which is, I can't believe I'm saying this, to the Adios Pro 3. Maybe that's recency biased, but I did run 3 seconds slower, but I felt so much easier, and I could pick up the pace at the end just the same. So that might be shocking for some people, because I wasn't expecting it to be my preferred shoe. 10K, I would say it's a similar story, but I would add the Alphafly over the METASPEED Sky, just because I feel like the Alphafly, you're not as running as quick in the 10, obviously, and therefore you don't really need to worry about the extra weight in the Alphafly as much. So I would move the Asics METASPEED Sky down to 4th, and I would have the Alphafly in 3rd, the next percent in 2nd, and the Adios Pro 3 again at the top. Next, half marathon, 4th. For the next 2 is going to be the METASPEED Sky. And by all means, when I say 4th, I still think this is probably the 4th best option in terms of all the other super shoes as well. So 4th is probably still near the top in the scheme of things. And you're talking about quite a lot of marginal difference, not substantial difference. So I just want to emphasize that, because this is by no means a bad shoe at all. I'm going to say these are joint second, because the Vaporfly, for me, is phenomenal. But the Alphafly, in terms of energy return, is amazing. So saving the legs, the Alphafly has the edge, but also you still want to have a lightweight shoe what can push you through the paces. In a half, you know, some points, for me, if I want to run like a 63-minute half marathon, you still need to run fast. So I would say, for me, the Vaporfly. But maybe for some slower runners, more heel strikers, the Alphafly would take that, you know, ahead of the Vaporfly. And top spot again is the Adios Pro 3. It's more suited to the marathon than the Vaporfly. A lot of shoe reviewers have also said that. It has a bit more weight and has a bit more foam. It definitely feels like it's got a bit more foam anyway. So, yeah, again, that's 3-0 for the Adios Pro 3 in my opinion. Marathon is where it changes. So, I have got the Asics METASPEED Sky last again. Then I have the Vaporfly next percent 2. For me, I just would prefer to race in these 2 shoes over that for the marathon. Second place, I have the Adios Pro 3. Again, I don't need to explain myself. It is better than the Vaporfly in the shorter distances, and it has more foam, so it's more suited to the marathon as well. So I just prefer it. And then the top spot for the marathon is the Nike Alphafly 2. The energy return, the amount of foam, just the way it flows and how comfortable it is to run in, it's just near impossible to beat. I would say, in fact, I don't even know how to beat this for a marathon. If you could somehow lose even some more weight, maybe make it slightly bit more aggressive. I'm not a marathon runner, so that might change as a transition. But if I'm thinking about running this in the half marathon as well as this, and even the next percent is in that conversation as well, this is definitely takes a top spot for the marathon. Like, it wouldn't really be a question for me. And then again, I would have to really try and decide what to wear half marathon and down, because even though I ranked them, the Nike Alphafly next percent 2, the Adios Pro 3, and the next percent, I could probably interchange in half marathon and downwards, all the way down to the 10K. And then for the 5 and 10, I would definitely have to pick between these and these, just because I think it's very marginal. I just slightly prefer this based off how I felt yesterday. And for the road mile, I'd go with this or the next percent 2. I think they're the 2 fastest and the lightest. I just don't know what to choose between the METASPEED Sky and the next percent 2. If you're a runner like me, mid-foot striker, heel striker, you're more of a cadence runner than a stride length runner, I found the best in this shoe overall. And in terms of weaknesses, I would say the upper has still got a lot of room to improve as well. So, yeah, for me, the Adios Pro 3 takes the top spot, but all 4 shoes are amazing, so you won't be disappointed whichever one you buy. Hopefully that helped people decide what kind of shoes to get for what kind of distance, and they're my top 4 super shoes